This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
You're listening to a special episode of Around the Galaxy, featuring audio from our weekly live show, ATGLive. We go live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@the-SSW Network. Join the conversation, be part of the chat, and may the Force be with you. Roger, Roger.
Lightsabers hum, they light up the night. Pete and Nick keep the galaxy bright. From Tatooine sands to indoor trees, they're bringing the news with galactic ease. ATGLive, we're blasting away, talking Star Wars every Thursday. Interviews, opinions, and all the lore. Hop on the Falcon, they're opening the door. From Vader's breath to Grogu's charms, theories and chats, they keep us disarmed. Around the galaxy tonight, Chris and Kelsey keeping it tight. They're breaking news like a Death Star blast, taking your calls and reading your chats. The greatest guests and what you need to know. Pete and Nick lead the Star Wars show. ATGLive, we're blasting away, talking Star Wars every Thursday. Interviews, opinions, and all the lore. Hop on the Falcon, they're opening the door.
Yay! Hello and welcome to another Thursday night of ATGLive. I'm one of your hosts, Pete Fletcher. I was not here last week, but I'm also joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Nick. Oh, look at that little princess face. That's cute. Yeah, so after watching last week, I know you guys had a lot of fun with Vanessa Marshall and Corey. I know he's got the Forrester. He's going to kill me. Holy cow. Corey Ryan Forrester. I was trying to remember the middle part. And Max Fry. And Max Fry was so much fun. I think we've decided to have him come back this week.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
So we're ready to go with some of that stuff. There was some Star Wars news this week, Nick, and so we'll definitely hit some of that. But Nick, I started just rolling because it's been a week. You know, if I miss a week, I get a little bit screwed up, but how are you?
You got to play catch up. You got to get everything out.
Right, I was like, I had
to get out last week.
Speak a certain number of words every week.
That's right.
And
words come to count, and that's how we do things.
They do, and I think I caught up. So now I'll let you talk.
Okay, well, I am doing fantastic. It is the dread awful heat of Alabama summer. It feels like 108 here today. Yeah. And in Alabama, that means mostly like 90% humidity. But as we like to say, the horror persists. So do we. We're just going to keep on plugging along. We're going to get through the heat. School starts this next week for my kids. So it's time to get people back on a routine after being home for 2 months and basically just eating all day long.
Yeah, up in the Northeast, our kids don't start till the end of the month. So, but football season starts next week, the practices and all that stuff. Indeed. So my son will be keeping me busy there. Might as well be back in school. But
that's right. Well, and of course, with football here in the South, that means college football starts back, which is its own very special religion. And so while I don't have high hopes for my Auburn Tigers, I'll just be excited for college football to return as I continue to ride out what has become kind of a miserable baseball season. But guess what? I'm still here.
It has been rough for the Braves. They're under 500,
right?
About 16 games back of the Phillies, about 16 and a half.
We don't have to go into all those details. That's not necessary.
These are the things I just like to talk about. It's the trade deadline. We picked up a closer. I'm happy about what happened there. But you know what this also brings up? You said football, which means we got to start planning our Star Wars fantasy draft again with with our good friend Kelsey. And speaking of Kelsey, why don't we bring her in to say hello? Kelsey,
right.
Where are you? Where are you? Oh, there she is. Hi, Kelsey.
Hey, yeah, I was like, it started tonight. Come on.
That's right. I know. You know, we don't
have,
the only streaming service we don't have is Paramount Plus. And so my son is like, Dad, we can't watch the game. I'm like, I know. It's preseason.
Isn't it on Peacock?
Yeah, that's what it is. Peacock.
Okay.
That's one we don't have. No, we do have Paramount Plus because I watched the Star Trek show. So
just take a breath. It's all right, Pete.
I know. Oh, so much going on. You know, that's the thing. Like, you go away for a week and then you come back and like within moments, like the entire vacation vibe is gone. And
it's all right. We can tell, like, we've got a little pinkness in the face.
Oh
like,
my gosh. Yes.
Good.
I'm very, very tan. Yeah, I can see like it's hard to see, like, that's the only way that I can tell.
Oh yeah.
How white I was before, and now I'm a little bit darker. But so Nick, if people want to like buy shit from us and things like that, where can they go?
Well, first of all, we highly recommend that they do so because it helps us. It helps them because then you have cool merchandise. And what better thing to have in your life than cool merchandise that you're going to have to explain to every single person you meet? What does that mean? Why is that funny? I don't get it. If you go to the SSWnetwork.com, it is your one-stop shop for everything we do. You can find our merchandise store where we've got sticker packs, t-shirts, mugs, cups, pint glasses, all that kind of stuff. Lots of silly designs. Actually, we've kind of scaled it back, reworked it. We've got kind of some of our original logo designs, the 3 shows, ATGLive, Around the Galaxy, and Podcast of the Wheels. A little bit of everything that you can find as far as that goes. You can also find our Patreon program, which we are always grateful, and we want to shout out every week our patrons who support us for as little as $3 a month. You can become a part of that. You support all the work that we do. You get access to interviews when we do the long form interview shows. You get swag, you get meetups, you get, other random things that we throw out there. If we do game show nights, we try to plug y'all into that. So it's a great way to get connected and support what we do here. You can find the links to the news stories. We're going to talk about those a little bit later in the show. You can find the ones from last week. Occasionally we write blog posts. Usually it's Pete, but I keep saying like, I want to get back into writing. So I need to do that. You
can do it. I know you can.
It is the place. And you can find the link to our social media at pretty much everywhere. We are the SSW Network. Social media is kind of a crash zone at the moment, not super productive. And as you can see right above all of our heads, we have our voicemail line, 504-321-1501. Call, leave us a message any time of the day or night about Star Wars, about how dumb you think we are, whatever it is. There's a good chance we'll play it on the show, listen to it, talk about it, and either answer your question or laugh along as you laugh at us. Because you're not laughing with us, you're laughing at us. We'll laugh at us too. We don't care.
And leave a voicemail during the show as well, like, because if you do that, we'll just play it blind and we don't know what you're going to say. We are not rated G, so we don't want you to be obscene and disgusting. But just call, leave us some thoughts. 504-321-1501, or if you're listening to this back on the playback on the podcast,
same thing. Call it anyhow.
Driving to work, listening to us, and then you're like, you know what? I still have things to say about Skeleton Crew. And so, well, since Chris isn't here, I can say I still have things to say about the ATGLive, but that's a whole other story. Kelsey, are you a Lions fan on top of being a Tigers fan?
Yeah, I'm from Michigan.
I know, but
what is that supposed to mean? Like, I chose pain. All right.
Oh man,
it's clearly been working on his brain from the time you said, "Hey, look at my jersey." And he's been working it out.
I went to Michigan State. Like, I don't know, like all Michigan things except for the Wolverines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We can support that.
They can go away.
Are you a Pistons fan?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I actually got my old one right there.
Nice. There you go.
Are you a Red Wings fan too?
I am, but I can't wear that hat anymore.
Why?
It's red.
Oh, that's true. People will be like,
yeah, what? No, that one's been buried in my closet for a bit. Like,
you got to get one of those cool, like, white logo on white hat or
black
logo
I
on black
haven't.
Kind of things.
Yeah, right. The team, they're getting back, so I haven't bought a hat since the red hat stuff is been going on. So
that's rough. Yeah. I get it. Well, Christmas is coming, Kelsey, so maybe
all right.
Chris is not with us tonight, unfortunately, but you can still go to broaxiomoutpost.com and buy all of your Star Wars stuff. We'll have a little video on that in just a couple minutes as well. But it is the July 31st, which means it's the last chance for what, Nick?
It is the last opportunity for our July Jar Binks toast. We have a themed toast every month. For the first time in probably what has been weeks, I'm not going to run through what the last 10 months of, toasts and themes have been, but this month has been July Jar Binks. We've had a lot of fun. We've toasted a lot of different things and people, and tonight is no exception. As we finish up July Jar Binks, I am going to throw one challenge to the chat to anybody that's watching now. If you're watching this later, send us a message. I'm not entirely sure what the August theme is going to be yet. Yeah. My 9-year-old did actually throw right before the show. She threw at us Ahsoka, which actually has a good possibility of being something. I kind of
like that one.
So Ahsoka could be it. But if you have another idea, and I know there was a Twitter group message thread where they were hashing out some and came up with some great ideas, but I deleted Twitter and pieced out from there. So I don't have access to that anymore.
I'll take a look.
So we don't know what August is going to be, but next week we're going to start our August toast, and it very well could end up being Ahsoka. But if it's not, that doesn't matter, because Matt says the August of Akbar, which I've got a 6-inch Admiral Akbar figure hanging out right back here that would be prime.
Right.
Akbar, I don't know. We'll work it out. We've got a week. Yeah. But tonight is the last night of July Jar Binks, and we want to send July Jar Binks out with style. I know we've got the video down below if one of y'all want to get that ready. I'm going to send this toast out to my good friend, and I'm going to hit very quickly for half a second the solo button, because I am wearing my purple and black star. We lost it.
Sorry. My bad. That's my bad. Let's solo you out here again.
As we've talked about sports and baseball, because we're like 50% a sports show at this point. My good friend Bob, who is the older brother of my college roommate Brian, who is the lead guitarist in my band in college. He lives out in Colorado, and he went to Star Wars night at the Colorado Rockies last week. And he sent me this shirt, and I don't think I can get it on the camera, but it's Star Wars Night, Coors Field.
Wow, that's nice.
And it came in the mail earlier this week. So I want to send my shout out to another weird space friend who hooked me up, who was at a baseball game, and I saw it on Facebook and was like, dude, get me a shirt. And he was like, what's your address? I'm sending it your way. So tonight's July Jar Binks toast is going to go to my good friend Bob in Colorado. Cheers. And Pete, if we're ready, happy July Jar Binks.
Yes, here we go. And action.
Joey, we win the money. Things me broke me bum that spine.
Okay.
And if you're tuning in for the first time.
Did you win that time?
No,
or you just gave up halfway through?
I gave up.
We gave up. And if you're turning in for the first time, normally there's an action figure in your beer. I don't have a Jar Jar action figure. So instead, I drank my beer out of 2 jars, too many mason jars, because I live in the South. So it is a Jar Jar toast.
When you buy a house in the South, there's a whole
room
comes
with it. That's right.
Full of mason
jars.
It's very strange.
But no lids, which is one of those things you're like, what the hell, man? What are we doing here?
Well, we are going to take our first break of the night. And then when we come back, we're going to be joined by Max Fry. We're going to be talking about collectibles. We're going to be talking about Regal Robot. And we're just going to see what happens, where it goes, what we do. We also got news tonight, as we always do. So thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more ATG Live. Well, we are back. Welcome back to ATG Live. And again, the entire SSW network is brought to you by broaxiomoutpost.com, where you can get your toys, collectibles, action figures, lightsabers, helmets, anything Star Wars, anything He-Man, anything. What else has he got there? He's got G.I. Joe. You want that stuff? You comic books. Go to broaxiomoutpost.com. Use the code ATG10 to get 10% off your first order. You're going to buy this stuff anyway. Buy it from our friend Chris, right? So, Nick, what's going on?
Yes, we are so excited to welcome back 2 weeks in a row. He did such a good job last week during the Galactic Happy Hour. that we thought he needs an entire segment. We need a chance to talk to Max Fry. Max Fry is a artist, a cosplayer, which I'm excited to ask some questions about because he has one particular cosplay that he just recently acquired that is, I mean, checking every box right up my alley. But he also works at Regal Robot and has been a part of a lot of the amazing stuff that we have seen over the years from them. And there was a bunch of exciting announcements at San Diego Comic-Con just last week. So we reached out. We had an amazing connection through our friend, not related, Holly Fry. And we said, Max, we want you to come back. We want you to talk about who you are, what you do. So it is a great thrill to welcome to ATG Live, Mr. Max Fry. There he is.
Hi.
Max. Hi.
What's up? How's it going?
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. It's good to see you again. And I think it's important that we establish the baseline right off the bat.
Yes.
We learned last week during the Galactic Happy Hour, you are in your at-home sabacc den. Is that correct?
It's a work in progress, but yes, that's where I am. And I thought it would make for an appropriate, location where I should talk to you guys.
It is very appropriate and very, scene worthy. We've got the IG head, we've got the Camtono, you've got the shelves, like the mood. It's almost like you work somewhere where you have access to some cool things to help you make that happen.
It's almost like I have access. Yeah.
I like it. Well, we are thrilled that you're here tonight. We're going to jump in first of all, because really again, speaking of establishing a baseline, you're clearly a Star Wars fan. You work in a bunch of different, IPs. Tell us a little bit about your Star Wars origin, how you came to it, how you had an impact on you early in your life, and let's go from there.
Sure. I mean, it's a story you've probably heard a bunch. I am of the Star Wars generation. Yep. I grew up in the 70s, the late 70s. I was a young kid through the early 80s. So my clearest first memory of Star Wars is actually seeing Empire Strikes Back in the theater.
Okay.
I think I saw Star Wars in the theater when Empire was about to be released. They did that re-release, I think, in 80, 81. Right. So yeah, but from then on, it was just, I think, all Star Wars all the time. And it really hasn't gone away. And in fact, I'm lucky enough that it's kind of taken over a large part of my professional life as well. And that's, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I mean, look, think of it this way. We saw these movies back in 1977, 1980, 1983, whenever we first saw them. And here it is almost 50 years later, and we're still talking about Star Wars. We're still like when I was a kid, and I will never forget when just before Return of the Jedi came out, my dad brought home a Starlog magazine, and there was a picture of Luke standing in front of Darth Vader as what we didn't know at the time. We saw with going back up to see the Emperor, and just pulling so much, like just being so psyched about it. And we're still in that place now where we follow every piece of Star Wars news, and there's stuff coming out, and there's all this kind of thing. What do you think? And this is an impossible question to answer, but I want to throw it to you anyway. What do you think it is about Star Wars that 50 years later we're still enthralled with this crazy George Lucas idea?
I think it's a couple of things. I think on the perhaps logistical side, I think it can't go understated how important it is that the people that are now making Star Wars grew up with Star Wars.
Yeah.
The people that, like us, like we are the same age as the people that are in control of the franchise now. So they're the ones that have the love for it, that want to keep it going. But I think on a more fundamental level, and I think this is why I connected to it, and I think this is probably why so many other people connected to it, and I think this is why George Lucas, we know this is why George Lucas, he has stated as such, he wanted to make a modern mythology for our world, for our culture. We had no modern mythology. We had no tales. Well, we had the ones from history, and those didn't go away, but he wanted something that kids could connect to at that time in the late 70s and early 80s. But I think he did such a good job of it that it continues to connect to kids who are growing up, and then they grow up, become teenagers, they become adults, and it stays with them. Yeah. And then they pass it on to their kids, and it stays with them. And it's just this amazing cycle.
Yeah, I think you hit on something really important there that I don't always think about. It has sparked in my mind over time. But like you said, we had existing myth. We had, Greek and Norse mythology. We had we had the ideas and the concepts. We had war movies from the 40s and 50s. We had these different things. But when you modernize something like that and you make it relevant to a new age, we're coming out of the space race and we're coming out of post-World War II and baby boomers and, all of these things that it creates a different element. And I think that probably drives as much of it. We're all of the same age and generation that we grew up with it like you said, in the early and late 70s. And it was our entire everything, but it's tied to the love for space exploration, which at that point was new and exciting. And so it was a way for that to be accessible on a level that we could connect with, not Greeks and sailing ships or something else like that. And I think that really has a lot to do with it. So the vision to be able to take something that's, tried and true as time and modernize it for a new age is really something that I don't know if we give enough, shrift to.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that is it's also evolving, right? You look at something like Andor, which reflects, current
where we are literally right now.
Yeah, and so it just continues to hit after another. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they're trying they've gotten to the point, and I think almost out of necessity, where they're trying new things with the franchise. They're trying different genres, sort of seeing what fits and what works and what doesn't work. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you overheard this, but I think I heard Tony Gilroy when he was doing promotion for Andor season 2, that supposedly, and who knows if we'll ever see it, but there's supposedly some sort of Star Wars story that would fit into the horror genre that they're developing. Mm-hmm. These are the things that I'm excited about. Like a Star Wars horror movie sounds incredible.
Yeah,
correct.
I'm also like, I'm the kind of guy who's probably going to see anything and most likely going to like anything. I mean, I'm pretty easy to please.
Guilty as Star Wars.
Yeah, but I really want to see that if it happens.
But you see things like the episode of The Mandalorian, I think it was in season 1 on the prison ship. They had the little horror elements and the red lights and the people popping out from the different corridors. And you're like, oh, I see how that can work. Like you see there's a way for that to connect and be something for people who are into specific genres. And that's the thing. We live in this world of social media and too many people complaining and too many squeaky wheels getting the grease. But the reality at the end of the day is keep trying things new because there's a lot of people out there. Because the other side of it is you do the same thing over and over again, and those same people are going to complain, I've already seen this. It's the same thing. So pick one, pick the other. Let's try other things and see what happens.
No, you're right. You literally can't please everybody. So, there's going to be somebody out there who likes what they're doing. If it's not for you, it's for somebody else. Whether or not that someone comprises a big enough audience for them to get whatever the ratings that they need to deem something a success is another story.
For sure. Well, speaking of one of the big pieces about that keeps Star Wars alive for Gen X and sort of everybody is there's this sort of collectible world that Star Wars created as well. And Regal Robot hits a sweet spot for, obviously I don't think my 12-year-old son can mow enough lawns to buy some of the premium Regal Robot stuff, but there are adults out there like us who want to see it. So maybe before we find out how you got involved in Regal Robot, for the handful of people who may not be familiar with what Regal Robot's all about, maybe give us a little bit of that story.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I myself have been a collector my whole life. It started with Star Wars action figures. To this day, it continues with Star Wars action figures. There are other things as well, but it's a hobby I'm very familiar with. So Regal Robot is owned by a gentleman by the name of Tom Spina. He started the other company that he has is called Tom Spina Designs. And that is a company that he started primarily as a specialist in costume, prop, collectible sort of conservation and restoration and display pieces. So a lot of these things that, these artifacts, creatures, masks, props, whatever that we grew up with, that we saw on screen, eventually make their way into the hands of private collectors through auctions and other ways, I'm sure. And if they're, if it's like, say, like a xenomorph from Ridley Scott's Alien, that thing was falling apart in the year 2020 or whatever, and needs to be conserved and repaired. So like that's where that business comes in. Where Regal Robot started, as far as I understand it, was one of the things that Tom specialized in was making themed furniture and decor pieces.
Yep.
He made a Han Solo in carbonite table. I think it was a table. It might have been a desk, one or the other, because he's done both. But the first thing, I think, was a table. And it went viral. A lot of people started talking about it, and a lot of people started asking about it. And being the savvy businessman that he is, he realized that there might be a future in this for him. And so he became an official licensee under Disney and Lucasfilm and started this company, Regal Robot, to make high-end collectibles themed first for Star Wars. And then recently, I think it was the year leading up to Dial of Destiny, which my brain is Swiss cheese. So I don't know if that was a year ago or 2 years ago. Yeah. Was it only last summer? Okay. But then we got the Indiana Jones license as well, and we started making collectibles under that IP. And it's been fantastic because we've really, especially with what is, and it's my favorite thing that we make, is this archive collection, which is under the Star Wars brand. And they are reproductions of the concept maquettes that are in the archives at Skywalker Ranch. And so, and the nice thing about that is that there are so many of them. And people love them, and we love to make them, and it's exciting because it's like having the real thing right in front of you. So that's the big, I think, where Regal has gotten the most attention over the past few years is this line. But we're also doing some great prop replicas under Indiana Jones and other decor pieces, and so there's a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff that we get to work on.
Well, and I think that's incredible. And I want to circle back in a minute to what you do specifically at Regal. But Kelsey went ahead and threw this up there for us, which I think is a perfect transition. Yeah. Last week with San Diego Comic-Con, there was a plethora of announcements and reveals coming out from Regal Robot, the things that are going on. And I want to run through a bunch of these real quick. I have a special, of course, I love Star Wars. It's a Star Wars show. Indiana Jones is 1A, 1B with me in Star Wars. And so as y'all got this license a little over a year ago, I don't have any of this stuff yet. This is the one, and this is the thing where I have to really try not to be obnoxious. This Leap of Faith painting has been one of my favorite Indiana Jones things since Crusade came out in 1989. I'm also about 99% certain this is going to be the next tattoo I get. But this piece of artwork right here, like this is the thing that makes me catch my breath and go, crap, I might have to buy that. And I haven't been able to commit to it yet, but like this hits every button. I love this so much, but there are so many other fun things. We've got the tote hanger, which if anybody knows Raiders, like this is phenomenal. And it's such a key little piece of Indiana Jones lore. So phenomenal. And I'm just going to hit a couple of these, and I want you to just talk about any of these that stand out, anything that has a connection for you. We have the tote minibus. This is phenomenal. You turn it both ways as he's starting to melt, as he does melt. The fedora.
The first thing that ever gave me nightmares as a kid after watching a movie. It's
the Indy fedora based on, screen use, and all of the stuff that y'all do is based on screen use connections and scans and all that kind of stuff. It's so great. We have, as we jump back into Star Wars, we have this Clone Trooper maquette, which if anybody is a, prequels person, Clone Troopers, this is right up their alley. We get Klaatu Barada Nikto, these scale replicas, the little heads, incredible. We have mini busts, Tarkin, we have Leia, these casts, just, awesome. The quality of all of them, 7 inches tall. Like this is something that's going on a bookshelf. It's going on a place of prominence and display. We have the Space Slug. When y'all do 2 of these, there's the 1-to-1 prop replica, which is the size of what was used when they filmed. You have the scaled replica. And like you're talking about, these signature editions. Yeah. When you have people like Phil Tippett signing on to these, there's a Ben Burtt one I know. All of these new things. Chris Wallace, Judy Elkins, the Toadstool Terror. That email came out today. I got that one. We've had the different, and the concept art. Those are the other ones that are so much fun. When y'all do the concept art busts, we have Walrus Man. This is the Ben Burtt one. Scanned from the original mask, the display with or without the torso. Like, these are things that collectors are literally going, I need this. Our friend Brandon Winerdy from Talking Bay 94. Like,
I know Brandon.
Every time these come out, his joke is, don't let me buy this. But every one of these things is something that is just top notch. The amount of artwork, the quality that goes into them is incredible.
You know those days when it's hot, the sun's doing way too much, and you're digging through your freezer looking for something that hits the spot? Not too heavy, not too sweet, just refreshing. That's when you need Luigi's Real Italian Ice. Real fruit juice, no high fructose corn syrup, no dairy, no fat, just icy, fruity goodness that's low in calories and high in give me some of that, please. Luigi's has flavors your whole family will love. You've got your classics like lemon, strawberry, and cherry, and then there's mango, blue raspberry, watermelon, kiwi, strawberry, and red, white, and blue swirl for those 4th of July vibes. Luigi's Real Italian Ice is super easy to grab. No mess, no scooping. Just peel the lid and go. It's great for backyard hangouts, birthday parties, or, let's be honest, standing at the freezer door pretending you're only going to eat one. You can even blend them into your favorite mocktail or cocktail. Treat your real self with Luigi's. Find Luigi's Real Italian Ice chilling in the freezer aisle of your favorite grocery store.
What is your role at Regal? What do you do? What do you work on? And kind of what is your connection to some of these things?
So I have a couple different hats that I wear at Regal. One of them is an artist. And so I do a lot of the development work on a bunch of the products you just showed and others in terms of doing some of the research from swatches and photos that come back from Skywalker Ranch and finding, the right paints to use, the right techniques to use to replicate, an artist's style, and then sort of developing the prototype and breaking that prototype out for our production artists to use in sort of steps so that every single one can come out looking the same and the right way. And that, I can't think of anything more fun to do for a living. It's every time I get to do a new prototype or help develop a new piece, it's so much. It's a joy. It really is. And it's not lost on me how lucky I am that I get to do that. Other hats that I've worn and continue to wear, I do some marketing outreach. I was sort of a studio supervisor for a while, but really my focus now is working more closely with Tom and Rob doing development. So that's very exciting for me.
That's fantastic. Well, and I have to say, while I don't personally own any Regal Robot things yet, and it's a great shame to admit that, I have had the opportunity on a couple of occasions to visit Cabe's Oasis. And so I have seen some of the Regal Robot work at firsthand at that amazing spot, having cocktails provided by Holly Fry and her magnificent husband, Brian. So I can attest that the Regal Robot work is real. The tables, the chairs, the furniture, like you said, a lot of it starting with the furniture. It's legit, and it adds to an element, whether you're building an in-home cantina, as some do, or whether you're adding something to a man cave or an office or a bookshelf or a bookend. Like, every bit of it, it's austere, it's classy, it's accurate, which is one of my favorites. When y'all did the Grail tablet last summer, like, that was another one that I'm going, holy crap, like, that's something I need in my life. And it's just because they connect us with the nostalgia from our childhood. They connect us from the things that we grew up with, and the opportunity to go, ooh, I could have that. The Urn of Nurhachi. What are we talking about here? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite pieces. It's one of my favorite pieces.
Good.
But I think it's also important to... Oh, go ahead, Max. Go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, it's important to note that not everything is large and premium. I actually own 3 Regal Robot things. I have the Tauntaun head, which came out at New York Comic Con a couple of years ago. I have the detonator that the Mando carries, and my droid head over there is being controlled by a restraining bolt created by the great Regal Robot Studios. But maybe talk a little bit about where that detail comes from, and I still kick myself. I was this close to pulling the trigger on the Phil Tippett Tauntaun about a year and a half ago, and then it sold out, and which is just my lame excuse for not buying it. But
the things, the runs are small, and part of that is just out of necessity. It's a small shop. There's only about 10 artists working on these things, and some of those artists are even, they're, like I said earlier, there's the Tom Spina design side of things. So you have artists that are busy doing the restoration and conservation, and we have production artists that are dedicated to the Regal stuff. But there's literally only so much we can do. So we have to keep the runs fairly small. Obviously, that helps make things collectible, but I don't think that is ever our primary goal or focus. Like, the scarcity is not a watchword. Like, there's no intention to make things rare. There's an intention to make things high quality. There's an intention to make things collectible and available. But yeah, if I know Tom has often said that if he can make sure everybody got one, he would be happy. But that's just not how, unfortunately, it works sometimes. But sorry, what was the original question?
Like sort of I mean, you were talking about how when you were working on some of the maquette stuff, and Regal Robot and Tom Spina Designs gets access to the actual fedora, right? What is like that? I mean, we just talked a little bit at the start as a fan. Like, what? Let me ask you this as maybe sort of the last question. Then would be, what's the one piece that ended up in front of you that made your jaw hit the desk and go, "Ugh, it's that"?
I wish I could narrow it down to one piece. No, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, it's never lost on me. I'm always amazed whenever something new, either comes in, or I have been fortunate enough to go to the archives, and that is just how I did not die there on the floor. I don't know. And it's not lost on any, like, Tom is still wide out about this stuff as well. And I think I remember what part of your original question was, which was how does Regal achieve, I don't remember how you phrased it exactly. How does Regal achieve such, maybe it was accuracy or quality? Yeah, accuracy. Because I remember my brain immediately went to Tom, because Tom is the guy who sets the standard, and he's as obsessive about this stuff. And I mean that in a healthy way. Right. He is
unlike
as obsessive. Unlike me, obsessive about this stuff as anybody. And so he makes sure that every detail is correct. And he employs people to help him make sure one of the reasons I think that I've done and I do what I do at Regal is because I am also obsessive. I am the guy who will say, that hair on the Wampa's mustache needs to be a little curlier or a little longer or have a little more snow in it or a little less, blood on the lip or whatever it is, because we know these things. We've grown up with these things. I've had all the compendiums and the encyclopedias and the art of books and everything I grew up with and, poured over my entire life. And it's just bananas to me now that what used to be useless knowledge, you sort of like when you're a geek about something, you sometimes excuse your trivia with the preface of, well, this is useless knowledge. It's amazing that a lot of the stuff isn't useless anymore.
Yeah. Oh, and we talk about a lot on this show, the books that we had as kids, like you said, the blueprints books, the diagram books, the Lucasfilm Archives book is incredible. And I read through that thing all the time. Same thing, just agape. And I've read it multiple times and go, how incredible. Like, I can't imagine. Like, to me, walking into the Lucasfilm archives is like the end of Raiders when they walk into the warehouse where they lock up the Ark, and you're just like, it's just walls and shelves and everything, and
then your face melts like toast.
Yeah, exactly. And your face melts off. Like it's all connected. And that's just it. And that's what. Well, so this is my. I tell this story every time. This is my 1989 Pepsi Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade Stetson fedora.
Oh,
they did a promo where if you got like 12 UPCs off of 12 packs of Pepsi Cola in 1989, mailed them in with some money, they would send you the Stetson Indy hat. I wanted one. My cool aunt, who was the cool aunt who taught us everything, got it for me. She sent me one and she bought herself one. She jokes all the time to this day. She's like, I bought so much Pepsi that summer just to buy you this damn hat. Well, I got it. I loved it. And then as I got a little bit older, like a fool, I traded it to a kid in my neighborhood for baseball cards. And to this day, she won't let me live it down. But several years ago, she sent one of my daughters hers because at that point, my daughter was obsessed with Indiana Jones. So I have hers now and it will never go anywhere. But it becomes that thing just as, you know, the stuff that you guys create. At the end of the day, it's connected to nostalgia. It's connected to good feelings. It's connected to something that makes us go, hey, remember that time. Hey, remember that thing that makes us happy.
Yeah.
And I think that's so special. And I'm so thankful that you guys do the work you do and provide the opportunity. Like Pete said, it doesn't have to be the big high-end, crazy, expensive things. It can be the magnets, which are $20 and $30, and the metal signs. Like there's a way in for everybody, which I also think is incredible that that's something that they do, that you guys do. So we're really thankful, not only, and we've had Tom on before, and y'all have been kind to donate to Potathon in the past. So we love what you guys do. We love getting the chance to talk to you a little bit. What we are going to do now is we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to transition for a minute. It's time to talk about the news of the week. And so when we come back, we're going to play our news game, which is Around the Galaxy, as a nod to our friends at ESPN and Around the Horn. So we will be back in just a minute with more ATG Live.
You know those days when it's hot, the sun's doing way too much, and you're digging through your freezer looking for something that hits the spot? Not too heavy, not too sweet, just refreshing. That's when you need Luigi's Real Italian Ice. Real fruit juice, no high fructose corn syrup, no dairy, no fat, just icy, fruity goodness that's low in calories and high in give me some of that, please. Luigi's has flavors your whole family will love. You've got your classics like lemon, strawberry, and cherry, and then there's mango, blue raspberry, watermelon, kiwi, strawberry, and red, white, and blue swirl for those 4th of July vibes. Luigi's Real Italian Ice is super easy to grab. No mess, no scooping. Just peel the lid and go. It's great for backyard hangouts, birthday parties, or let's be honest, standing at the freezer door pretending you're only going to eat one. You can even blend them into your favorite mocktail or cocktail. Treat your real self with Luigi's. Find Luigi's Real Italian Ice chilling in the freezer aisle of your favorite grocery store.
Well, it's time to go around the galaxy again. Welcome to the segment where our producer, Kelsey, clearly the most powerful being in the galaxy, selects this week's most overhyped Star Wars news from our website and forces a panel of organic life forms to argue about it. Loudly. For points. That she gives out. However she wants. This makes no sense to me at all. This week's special guest will also join the chaos, pretending that their opinions matter, while Kelsey quietly calculates who lives, who dies, and who gets muted. And at the end, the so-called winner gets 60 seconds of uninterrupted airtime, because that's what this show needs. More talking. So, hold on to your motivator and brace for impact. This is Around the Galaxy. Do I have to say it? Do I really? Roger, Roger.
Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars, like everything Star Wars, like drinking games and cooking tips and news and trivia. And, of course, the Around the Galaxy game with our lovely Inquisitor, Kelsey Puckett. Kelsey, how's it going?
Doing all right. You guys holding down the fort so far. Good job. Proud of you. Making it through your post-vacation show.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah, so surprisingly, and that's, kind of one of the other things there, Max, we were kind of getting to it before, like there's still Star Wars news like every freaking week. Every week we're like, well, we're going to have a tough time finding stuff to talk about this week. Nope. There's always stuff happening. And so that's why we kind of put this game together like we have. So now I got to ask you, Max, are you familiar at all with the Around the Horn show from ESPN?
Not personally, but
Okay.
I think I understand the premise.
Good. All right. We keep it so simple that you don't even need to know how to spell ESPN to make this work. So
That's all right. I was kind of thinking the points also work like whose line is it anyway?
It's very much like whose line is it anyway, where the points don't matter and something else. I forget what he always said.
You are not Drew Carey, I can see. But
This is true.
this is true.
all right. Well, I'm actually going to start with Max since our first news story is about Comic-Con. So George Lucas appeared at his first ever San Diego Comic-Con, and he offered a look at the upcoming Lucas Museum in LA. What from his panel got you most excited?
I love so much about this museum that's opening. I think what got me most excited was probably just the focus on elevating narrative art, sort of. I think someone maybe even used the word canonizing, which I thought was interesting, into quote unquote fine art. Giving it the platform, giving whether it's comic books or sketches or whatever it is, but just giving it the same platform that fine art has had all these years in museums, and giving it the respect and giving it the attention and the educational aspects that it deserves, because it's a way in for kids to learn storytelling, and honestly for anybody to learn about storytelling. And I think it's really, really exciting, and I can't wait to go.
Yes.
What about you, Nick?
Roger.
So like Max said, everything about it is exciting. Everything about it is something to look forward to. You read the list of like the props that they've already said are going to be there. The land speeder and Grievous's bike or what, I forget what it's called. You can revoke my fan card. I don't care. But I love the talk about connection to physical media, connection to original, like there's a lot of stuff about comic books, and he talks about comic books and the collections and the things he has, because this hits me in that same vein as like the Smithsonian. And I'm at that age, that where like that hits me in my feels. Like, let me go see a space shuttle. Let me go see an X-Wing. Let me go see the Fonz's jacket. Like, let me see all these things that connect to parts of my life. And so to have George Lucas creating this thing that's not in a era and time where we're facing down AI, where we're figuring out what is the role of AI. And that came up in that panel. And, he talks about, there's a concrete thing here, and this is where stories are told. And this is where what narrative is. The fact that this is someone who goes, this is important enough to preserve that I'm going to make the back half of my life and career about preserving this and creating something that's going to live on is phenomenal. I think is really significant.
Pete, what do you think?
Well, other than comic books, which, as you all know, I don't read or pay too much attention. And I kid about that, because I was actually pretty excited. Much like Nick was saying about the things that he has decided to put in this museum. But one of the things, when we were talking a little bit before about why Star Wars still is where it is in our hearts and minds, it's not so much creating other genre stuff as Star Wars. To me, I think one of the things is Star Wars has become its own genre. And if it's going to continue, and if we believe that, which I think it doesn't take too much to make that connection, if you believe that, then a museum to show where that comes from, right? And where that, we all, what is it they say, the best, the finest form of flattery is
imitation.
And yeah, I mean, you can literally point to things that George took to create some of his Star Wars and create this cultural phenomenon, and to be able to lead with that, because when people think George Lucas, they think Star Wars. but this will allow us to think George Lucas and think pop culture curator. And I think that that's a huge next step and a frankly, a great way for him to spend the back half of his life.
Nice, some fair points there. I actually was going to ask Max one more thing from Comic-Con real quick. I heard that you did a cosplay there?
No, not this year. Personally, I didn't make it to Comic-Con, but I have done. I do occasionally cosplay, and if I was at Comic-Con this year, I probably would have.
So well, and that's what I referenced at the top of the show, and I'll just jump in here for half a second. Max has a Cobb Vanth cosplay that was recently revealed on his Instagram, and I love Timothy Oliphant in a way that's hard to describe between Deadwood, Justified, The Mandalorian. Like, he's my guy. Like, I'm right at the top of the list. And Pete and I have joked for a long time, like, if I'm doing a cosplay because I'm a bearded guy and I will always be a bearded guy, I have two options. Put a helmet on or find a Star Wars character that has a beard. Pete can do Rex. I can do Obi-Wan. But, like, Cobb Vanth opens up a little bit of a territory where if you get a little bit of a beard, some hair, going back, and yours is fantastic. And the pictures on Max's Instagram are legit. So, and there's other cosplays on there as well, but I did see that when I was checking out your Instagram and thought, see, this is somebody who gets it.
Yeah, the beard I've only had for about a year now. Yeah. Before, I used to spend most of my time cosplaying variations on Han Solo. Okay. I've actually tried other people. I've tried like Poe Dameron. I usually go for like the sort of smuggler scoundrel look. But even when I'm Poe Dameron, people think I'm Han Solo. So I kind of just picked the Han Solo.
Lean into it, yeah.
But then I grew the beard, and this costume came up for sale, and I couldn't resist. So
it's really good. Yeah, it's
thank
fantastic.
you.
All right, I'll have to check that out after the show. I'll stick with you, Max. So the Ubisoft CEO blamed the state of the Star Wars brand for Outlaws underperforming. Do you agree with him, and why?
It's tough. I think there's enough blame, if you will, to pass it around. I think the game maybe came. Look, let me preface everything here by saying I actually really loved The Acolyte, but I know that it had a lot of negative attention. It was very divisive, and I think some people were suggesting that maybe Outlaws coming out sort of in the wake of that was not great timing for the franchise. But I also know, because I played Outlaws pretty much immediately, that game was buggy. The game was buggy, and that never helps. And so, and it also, it tried to do a lot. It's the first open world, I think, is sort of what they were saying about it, is the first open world Star Wars game. And so there was a lot of things I feel like that you kind of couldn't do maybe that you would normally want to do in an open world game. And I think maybe folks might have been suggesting that Star Wars, or I guess would be more Ubisoft, was more sort of relying on the brand recognition to sell the title as opposed to really building out the game as robustly as they could have.
Yep.
I don't know who's at fault, but I agree that the game was a little lacking in areas, but I still enjoyed it.
What do you think, Nick?
So, full disclosure, haven't played Outlaws. I have a PlayStation 4, so I haven't really played the second Jedi Fallen Order game, Survivor. I'm a Luddite when it comes to video games. I play Fortnite at night when my kids go to bed because it's an easy way to check out and not have to think about anything. But having kept up with the stories and, of course, being a part of the Star Wars fandom and what it is that we do, I've paid attention to this, and I kind of feel like it's a 50-50 thing. Like, there may be something to it because of timing. We ran into that with when Solo came out after Rise of Skywalker. Like, there was too much too close together that created some negative whatever that caused people to, taint the way they looked at things. We're not going to get into Solo, Kelsey. I saw you make that face. You can go ahead and you can file that away back in the drawer. That's for another time. But at the end of the day, you're a company that's making a game and you kind of need to own what it is that you do. So my thing is, don't shove it off on the brand. Like, you had the opportunity to make the game. You had the opportunity to work on it. There were bugs. That's not Star Wars' fault. There were things that didn't launch and play well. That's not Star Wars' fault. Battlefront dealt with the same thing when it came out early on. There were issues. It's not Star Wars' fault. That's a production thing. That's a game company thing. So it feels a little, I don't know, feels a little bit of a little shady. I'm not buying it, but I'm also a Star Wars, in the tank guy. So,
Pete, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted, and I'll take the most obnoxious way of saying what both Nick and Max were trying to say is, if the game was good, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And it's one of the rare Star Wars games that I didn't finish. And I also think it's part of the challenge is, I don't know that Star Wars lends itself to an Assassin's Creed type of game. I think, when you think Star Wars, you think blasting your way through hallways and blowing stuff up. And while that later became an option, the game was, it was a very challenging. It was a different way to play a Star Wars game. And Max, you're right. I played it like moments after it came out, and it was absolutely buggy. I think there were some issues with it. I think blaming Star Wars as a brand is kind of a punk way out, to put it, as politely as I can. But I think I wish the game was better. I really do. And what I did play, I enjoyed a lot of it. It looked great. There was a lot of really cool opportunities to it. I loved the lead character. I thought she was great. I loved the droid companion. I loved the little fuzzy animal that rode on your back. And there was a lot to love, but not enough to get attached to, like I did to, say, Survivor or Power of the Force. Or not, what was it? Force Unleashed, rather.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/iHeart. That's greenlight.com/iHeart.
Roger. Cool. I'm going to stick with you on this next one. So Hayden Christensen returns to the Ahsoka show with an expanded role for season 2. Yeah. What are you most excited to see from his character?
I will take I'll take the side that I've taken before, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'd rather see an Anakin, Ahsoka, Kenobi show then try to put it into, again, we're saying this before we see what it actually means and how it's going to all work together. But man, I think my favorite part of Ahsoka was the Clone Wars flashbacks, and seeing what Ariana Greenblatt as the young Ahsoka was so great. I would love a series with the three of them. There were a million little battles that went on. There were so many. I'm sure we didn't see all of them in the Clone Wars. So to see the three of them perhaps on it, but even give me a 2-hour movie of that. I'm excited that Anakin's coming back, but I also kind of feel like, in a way, it's sort of leaning into something a little safe. Everybody knows that was the most popular and the most talked about piece from the show. They put that episode in movie theaters, so. I can't wait to see it, and of course I'm going to be there watching it, and I'm not going to miss it, and I'm going to love it. But I would like to see, let's put that effort into something that is a little bit more focused on him versus sort of a side story.
What do you think, Max?
Again, not knowing exactly what we're going to get.
Right.
What I'm hoping we're going to get are more flashbacks. I've heard the rumors about Ewan joining the fun, and if we get flashbacks with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka during the Clone Wars, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally getting chills just thinking about how cool that's going to be to see it in live action, because Hayden did something, I don't know if it was unexpected, but it was so effective. He clearly became familiar with the character from the Clone Wars before he was on Ahsoka, because he brought all of that in addition to what he had done in the prequels. And it was it felt so much more complicated, or not complicated, but complex and fuller. I mean, I just want more of that.
Yeah.
Yep. Nick, you got any thoughts on this one?
I have two very specific thoughts. First of all, it hadn't crossed my mind until Max said it, but if Obi-Wan shows up, the cosplay that I have said for years that I want to do is the General Kenobi cosplay where he's wearing the white armor, grow my hair out a little bit more beard. That's my move. That's my guy. So yes, please give me live action General Kenobi in that armor. But what I have said, and I love all of this, I want Hayden to have this expanded role. I want Anakin to have more of a weight in it. We've seen that because his 2 appearances at 2 different Comic-Cons have been canceled due to shooting. That's not a cameo thing. That's he's got something significant. Yep. Here's what I think it is. And I threw it to Pete in a text message, and it was clearly such a terrible theory that he didn't even respond or comment on it. Anakin becomes the father, Ahsoka becomes the daughter, and Baylan Skoll becomes the son, and Anakin truly does get to bring balance to the Force. And I think that's what happens in Ahsoka Season 2, because we don't know Ahsoka's end. And then the other half of that is it sets up the live-action Rebels showdown with Thrawn. But I think Anakin becomes the father, and he does actually get to bring balance to the Force all these years later. And if that's the story we get, we will be eating. It will be incredible.
Yeah, it will be amazing.
Give him all the points.
Yes.
I've been boosting it. Yep.
That's where it's at. So, that's what I want. That's what I'm excited to see if it happens.
That's
all
awesome.
right. I'll stick with you, Nick, for our last one. So despite slow progress since the project was announced, the Rey movie is slated to start filming in 2026. Are you excited about this news, or are other future projects grabbing your attention a bit more?
In the words of Chris Ryans, gimme. I want this. I want all of it. It's new Star Wars. I'm not going to be mad about it. Give me every new Star Wars. I'll watch it. If I don't like it, I won't watch it a second time. If I do like it, it'll become my whole personality. It'll become a whole obnoxious thing. I do love Daisy Ridley. I do love Rey. I'm excited to see what the journey for this character is. I'm really hopeful that John Boyega is involved. I'm excited to see the connecting points to, if Poe's involved, if it somehow ties into some legacy character somewhere along the way, but it doesn't have to. And that's what I'm also excited about. This is charting new course, new Jedi Order. Let's go. Because as a kid who grew up with the EU, the Luke Skywalker new Jedi Order books and Kip Duran and being tempted by Exar Kun and all these other things, like, there's stories that can be told, and there's ways for this to be something brought into a new audience and a new universe and a part of the Disney Star Wars era. This is nothing but wins, in my opinion.
Max, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I am excited. I am cautiously optimistic. I also am curious about these rumors that I've heard that Rey will also potentially show up in other sequel movies that aren't necessarily focused solely on Rey. And in fact, I hear a lot of conflicting rumors that even this Rey movie doesn't necessarily have her as like the main character, that there's probably a new apprentice that leads the story and that she's more of the sort of sage, wise Jedi master in this case, which kind of makes sense. Like, let's give her that role. I mean, I don't want to get into sort of controversial topics here, but like, I know a lot of folks, I love the sequels. I love The Last Jedi. I know a lot of folks wanted to see Luke more in his prime. Unfortunately, that wasn't up to anybody but Father Time. They just kind of came to those movies a little too late.
So true.
But now they have a chance to do that with Rey. They have a chance to show her being a Jedi Master, building the Order, give us the sorts of stories that I think people wanted with Luke. And I think that's pretty exciting.
Pete, you want to take us home?
Sure. I mean, like Max said, cautiously optimistic. We've heard this song before. We keep hearing it. I don't know where this one came from. Daniel Richman, who tends to be fairly accurate, but I don't know. Yes. Am I excited about it? I'm always excited about it, and I really hope they do right by Finn. I hope they do a whole, I hope they bring it together properly. I'm excited that what Max was talking about with the possibility that Daisy could be in multiple stories, because I think one of the things I'm so excited about is, Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill spent 25 years distancing themselves from the most famous character they were ever going to be. Well, maybe not Harrison, who also did a lot of other things, but still, he was Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Mark Hamill, went on to do great voice work, but a lot of people didn't even realize that. Daisy Ridley, if she's smart, and I know she's very wise, should embrace the Rey character and do everything she can with it, because that's where people know her. And there's nothing wrong with being known as a Star Wars hero as your legacy. Look at Mark Hamill and look at Harrison Ford and Billy D. Williams and Carrie Fisher. It's, as we said before, it's part of culture, and it's not a bad thing to be a part of. So let's put her in all the stuff, and I'll wait until we get to the preview before I get too excited about it, though.
All right. Well,
can I quickly jump on something that Pete said, which I think is really important, because when at post original trilogy with Mark and Harrison and Carrie and everybody, the culture and pop culture was totally different. Star Wars was not seen as serious movies. The franchises and the popcorn movies were seen as that, popcorn movies, and we're seeing it's sort of like Lucas's comments about raising comic book art to fine art. It's the same. Today, so much of entertainment is franchise and IP. There's very little, I think, or not as much looking down on those sorts of movies where actors feel like they have to distance themselves or do more serious stuff. You have one of the most well-known liked actors today, Pedro Pascal, who is just franchise after franchise after franchise, and he's considered, untouchable. So I agree with you. I think Daisy should and hopefully will embrace her destiny.
Well, and if anybody wants just a little delightful dessert teaser when you get done tonight, go find the video clips of the Vanity Fair article that Harrison Ford just did, the interviews where they talk to him about all the different, there's a 15-minute clip. Kelsey sent it to me, but I read the article online as well. And when he talks about these different roles and he talks about Star Wars, he's very earnest and genuine when he says, I loved every bit of it, and there's been stuff over the years where he was grouchy and he didn't want to and kill me off, but he recognizes it, and to watch him walk through the different stages of career and talk about what he's done is another reminder why he is probably my favorite actor of all time. He is truly he's a gift to our modern era of acting and heroes and people who are out there doing something. And he's not pretentious. And he goes, I went to college and I thought I can do this, but I didn't read the second half of the syllabus that said I had to actually be in a play. And, he's like, it said, read and talk about it. He's like, I can read and talk about it. I didn't mean to have to do it. He's the guy that you look at it and go, damn, I'd like to hang out with him and drink bourbon. He's that real. He's that guy.
But don't fly with him. Phantom planes,
especially not after drinking bourbon. Yeah,
probably not together.
All right. Well, I was gonna give Pete the win, but Max, you have the floor. You stole it at the end there. So
whoa.
Yep. So you got 60 seconds. You can promo whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'll leave you guys with this thought. And maybe you'll have me back on to talk about it one day. I, like everybody else on this planet, apparently loved Andor Season 2. I thought it was amazing Star Wars. I thought Tony Gilroy brought it to the screen in a way that literally only Tony Gilroy could. What I keep thinking about, though, is how Andor differs from typical Star Wars in a very interesting way. George Lucas always talked about Star Wars as space fantasy, mythic, operatic space opera, big themes, destiny, the Force. And Andor doesn't really do that. Andor really looks at societal and political changes and things that happen when we're not paying attention. It's a thriller. It's an allegory. It's science fiction, not science fantasy, which is probably the first time Star Wars has been science fiction. And I think it's also one of the reasons why we might never see anything like Andor again, unless Lucasfilm really sort of decides to make more attempts to break away from the mythic science fantasy aspects of Star Wars.
Yeah. Well,
was that a minute?
No, that was perfect.
Perfect.
Love hearing you talk about that. We did a 7-part series called Road to Rebellion, where we broke the first 4 episodes were based on the 4 arcs, and then we had some conversation. I'll tell you what, we can get on we'll chat after this. I would love to do part 8 and talk about exactly, because that's one of the things that we didn't get into in that series. So that would be, I would welcome that conversation for sure. That would be great. Because I think you're right. I think it was I'd call it a one-off, but it was 2 series. So it was 2 seasons. But I think you're right. I think that we may never get that sort of thing again.
That would totally be it. And I had to throw the hat on right at the last minute for Matt, because Max gets into one of my favorite territories. We may not ever see anything like Andor again, but I've asked for a long time for a Star Wars West Wing, and the Andor is Star Wars West Wing. And so I have to put on my hat. It's a drinking game on the show. So Matt, this one's for you, buddy. Poured up a shot for Star Wars West Wing.
Well, perfect. Well, this Max, this has been great. I'm glad I got to talk to you for more than just a couple minutes this week.
Likewise.
Although I do kind of still wish I was on the beaches of the Outer Banks. But this was a ton of fun. Where can people find you online and keep up with some of the stuff that you're doing?
Sure. I mean, my everyday Instagram is at Last Max Standing, and my sort of hobby Instagram, which is custom action figures and props, is at Last Max Studios, and you can find some old cosplay pictures at Carillion Cosplay, but I barely post on there anymore.
That's awesome. Very cool. Nick, Kelsey, we haven't heard back yet from our potential guest for next week, I'm guessing.
Not yet. Well, I haven't checked my emails.
Okay.
We have
I was doing a job here. Come on.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Come on, Pete. Cut her some slack. Yes, we have a potentially wild guest situation in the works for next week. And
not like wild famous, but wild, weird, and
just
fun.
Crazy. That's right. Yeah. Wacky and fun. That's what we do.
And if you're following Instagram Reels, you may have seen this guy. So, so hopefully he'll be joining us next week, certainly sometime soon. So that's what we have going on. We are still trying to get the show up in the podcast feed. We didn't do it the last couple of weeks, but we will be putting this one up in the podcast feed on Tuesday. And again, if you're listening on the podcast feed, thank you so much. Leave us a voicemail, 504-321-1501. We'll play you on the show. Again, whatever you have to say, we want to hear it. And Max, thanks again for joining us. We will hit you up for that Road to Rebellion episode. I think that would be a ton of fun. And it's funny, we still can't stop talking about Andor. And that's, I think, probably more than any Star Wars Disney era show, this one is still top of mind for so many people. Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about. Kelsey, good luck to your Lions tonight. Did they win? I mean, it's preseason.
I don't know. I came up here mid-game, so
okay.
It's all right. It's preseason. We're good.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Just get the starters off before it's too late. And I guess that's going to do it for us this week. Nick, as we say every single week, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.